channel about all things knitting and yarn. My name is Rebecca and the city is Malmö, and I'm pretty sure you've never heard of either of us. So not to make this a geography channel, but I thought it needs some introduction. So Malmö is the third largest city in Sweden, and it's situated in the very south of the country, which makes the climate bearable. Even though this is the third largest, it doesn't mean it's very large. It's actually quite bite-sized with its about 350,000 inhabitants. About me, I'm the opposite. I am 184 centimeters tall, and that translates into 6 feet 3/4 inches, I think. So I always have to modify my patterns, like not in a difficult way. I just need to make arms longer, body longer usually. I do like cropped things, but not too cropped. And I never accommodate for that when buying yarn, for some reason. All in all, I'm a pretty spur of the moment kind of knitter. So even though I've been knitting for about 15 years, I still make a lot of mistakes. And that is what you will see if you continue to hang with me. And enough about me. I think I'm going to make this a fairly regular podcast today, where I just go through the things that I've been doing this month, things I've finished, things I've been knitting on, and my plans for the next month. So without further ado, I'm going to jump into what I'm wearing. And as you can see, I'm sitting in a corner of my apartment, which is very hot, so I'm going to take this off real soon. I was out biking before and it's quite nippy. So I was thinking I was okay to wear knitwear inside, but I have warmed up since, and it really doesn't work. So I can't stand up for you. So I will put a picture of myself wearing these things in the corner here somewhere, so you can see what it looks like. I'm also wearing like really ugly things under my waist. So, but this is the Ginny cardigan by Andrea Mowry, which is a really nice pattern. This is a bit longer than I usually make them, which you can see here. I've used quite a cheap wool yarn with some nylon. It's a sock yarn. I think you can only buy it in Sweden. So it's called Sophie, and it's from Adlibris. They're a really big book site here in Sweden, but they also sell yarn, which is kind of weird. But this cardigan is actually one color in the pattern, but I had made a wrong order when I ordered this. I was supposed to get the fingering weight, and this is a DK weight. So then I just ordered some more yarn in this thickness. I can make a cardigan with it. And I really like this structure, and I'm also pretty happy that I made it striped because I think it looks really nice. And under this I'm also wearing knitwear, and now I can take this off, and I will also insert a picture of this. This is the very famous Tegna by Kaitlin Hunter, or Boyle Knitworks, and I have knit this in Esther by Permin, which is a wool and cotton blend yarn. So you would think that maybe this would be possible to wear in the summer. It's not. It's really warm. You can't see the border here, but it has a really pretty border, which you probably already know. But yes, I will insert a picture. This is from quite a few years ago, so I'm quite a bit smaller in the picture than I am now. But regardless, it still fits. Yeah, that was that. So now I'm going to start talking about the finished objects. And these are the things that I finished in, was it October or November? Don't know, October, November, something like that. So the first one is a Sophie scarf. It's hard to show you the whole thing in the frame. I have been wearing this, so it is a little bit wonky. I mean, it's Sophie scarf Petite Knit's viral pattern. I actually didn't buy the pattern because I was being cocky and I'm like, I don't need a pattern for this. So this is the second one I made. I mean, it is very much inspired by this pattern. The first one is this gray one. And I didn't make it the way the Sophie scarf looks. And it's not just that it's bigger. It's also that I made like a straight point here. So it's straight all the way through. And this is made in onion merino nettles, I think, or if it's just called nettles, number 4. Love this yarn. It's really soft and shiny too, and there's it has lighter bits in it. And I have been wearing this scarf to death. I mean, I didn't think I would like this kind of a thin scarf, but it's just perfect to wear with the jacket open. And yeah, back to my mistake. It's actually kind of shawl shaped like this, the real Sophie scarf, and this is just straight. So I made increases on both sides of this. So then I knit this yellow one, and this is Filcolana Pernilla, which is a 100% wool yarn, a fingering weight. And now I did make increases only on the one side, but I actually think it looks better the other way. So I am contemplating making another one and doing it the way I did the first one. I can put this on. I did also make it a bit longer because I want to get it around my neck twice and then tie it. And with this I made a hat as well. And this is the Oslo hat, also by Petite Knit. I actually bought this pattern a few years ago, and it's a mohair edition. Because that was all the rage then, and I guess it still kind of is. And this is knit in Järbo fin mohair silke, which is a silk mohair, like a thin silk mohair, like your standard silk mohair. And the other yarn I've used is Drops Fabel, I think, which is a sock yarn. And this, as you probably saw when I put it on, is very tight. And I knit this hat a few years ago, loved it, and I made the exact same mistake. I think it's the second largest size, because I usually, when I make hats, I make them too big. So, and then I just made the same mistake twice, which is what I do. But yeah, this like hurts my head. But the other one, which I also happen to have here, now fits really nicely. And it's not super snug. It's snug enough so that the wind doesn't come in. But it fits pretty well. Yeah. And I also finished a pair of fingerless mitts for my father for Father's Day, because he is extremely knit-worthy. I knit him a pair for last Christmas, and he wore them all the time. So now I got him a new pair. This is also the Adlibris Socky, but this is a thicker one, Socky Plus. I also made a shawl in this yarn. It's a lovely sea green color. This shawl, I will put a picture up on that. I don't have a picture of the mitts, but they're just like, I think I made them, yes. I used the arched gusset mittens from Purl Soho, which is a free pattern, and it's really lovely. I've made mittens from that pattern as well. but I just didn't do the top of the thumb and hand. So I just finished it here. And the shawl is called Love and Darkness, and it's Sylvia McFadden who is the designer. And she made a really lovely book called Shawl Joy. I only have it in a PDF, but it has shawls in all kinds of gauges, like lace shawls that still look modern. And it's a really nice book that I highly recommend. It is a few years old now, but yeah, that aside. I also made and finished, that was it must have been October. This is October's finished project. I don't think I finished anything in November yet. I don't know what I've been doing. But I also finished 2 cowls, one for each of my daughters for Halloween. And this is the really pretty Cowloween pattern by Stephanie Lotven. And I also don't have them here, but there is a picture of my kids wearing them, and they were ready for Halloween. So, so I will insert a picture of that as well. And this was a really fun pattern. I mean, I didn't even mind making 2 of them back to back, because there was something going on all the time, and they're also like super cute. And these were also made using Drops Fable, their fingering weight sock yarn. And I mean, no hiccups there. It just went perfectly. And now I'm going to get into my whips. And I actually decided to do these in order of how old they are, how long they have been languishing. So the first one is super duper old. And this is the Haruni by Emily Ross. And this I started sometime in the 2010s, I think, when lace shawls like with thin yarn was all the rage. The Aeolian was like a really big thing. It was a knitty pattern. But here it is a bit scrunched up on the needles. But you see it has this delicate leaf pattern. And then there's going to be a border with bigger leaves at the end. I mean, I don't know if you can tell, but there are beads as well. And you put them on with a crochet hook, so it's like really easy to place the beads. The reason this has been lying around for such a long time, I'm not sure, because I don't think that I had made a mistake, because usually when I make a mistake, things just get thrown into a corner somewhere. But I couldn't find a mistake here, and when I looked at it, I just thought it looked really complicated. But when I actually started knitting, it was not. It's like quite simple, and it just repeats, as you can see. I didn't know where the beads were, so that could have been a reason. Or I just lost them through the years. But then I was like, this is pretty nice, and this is Malabrigo lace, which is super thin and fussy, and it's just one thread. So to unravel this, I'm afraid that the yarn would be ruined. So I decided to keep knitting on it and not care about the beads, because this part can be beaded and the rest of it don't need the beads. What I am a bit concerned about now is the amount of yarn that I have left, because this is not much. I mean, it is super thin, so it does go a long way, but I'm not sure I can do the whole border with just this one ball. I did have another hank of this that I sold because I was over knitting with lace weight yarn. And then I hadn't checked that I had this old UFO hidden somewhere. But yeah, I mean, I will keep on and see how far I'll get. Worst case, maybe I can buy another one. Next one is a much newer one. This was actually started in spring of this year, April or May, I think. So my daughter saw this cardigan at H&M that she really wanted. And I was like, this acrylic crap, I can knit you one. And she's held me to it. So this is the No Frills cardigan by Petite Knit. There's a lot of Petite Knit in the beginning of this episode, but bear with me, there are going to be lots of other designers. But this one doesn't follow the pattern exactly, because it was a ribbed cardigan that she found. And the No Frills is a stockinette cardigan. But so I made it in rib instead. So I finished the whole body. This is a bit rumpled because it's been put inside this bag for a long time now. And the reason I stopped knitting on this was because when I picked up to do the arms, usually I use a bigger needle for the arms because my gauge gets a lot tighter with a small circumference. So I did change to a bigger needle, but I immediately noticed that it wasn't going to work because the stitches looked a lot bigger. So then I changed back to the same needle I had made the body in, and it still didn't help. Look at this. I mean, that looks so bad. I'm not even sure I can block this out. So now this has been lying around for a really long time because I just don't know how to. If anyone knows why this happens and how you can fix it, please tell me, because I'm getting desperate here. I was going to give this to her for Christmas, but yeah, this is not good. I'm knitting this in Drops Fable, but also a lot of Drops Fable, but this is a cheap yarn, and yeah, I've been buying so much yarn that I really have to. Yeah. Okay. Enough about that. I don't know when this is going to be finished or what I'm going to do about this problem. But it can rest and we'll see. After that, I don't know exactly when I started it. I mean, to be fair, I think this is actually an older one. And this is a cardigan that I'm making for myself. And it's a colorwork cardigan. And it's gotten stuck to my cord here. I mean, it's like 2 o'clock, but it's not dark, but the sun is hiding behind clouds, which it usually does all of November. So it's still pretty dark in here. But this is called Fastos Kofta, which means auntie's cardigan in Swedish. And it has this really pretty color work, but the whole body and sleeves are going to be like this. And these are pure wool yarns, and I will put the names of the yarns either in the frame or in the description box, because I can't remember right now. What happened, this is, I'm knitting this in the round because color work, I don't want to do that any other way. And this is also how it is described in the pattern. And I'm going to steek it when it's done, like here. What I did wrong was I have a history of making things a bit too small because I'm being optimistic and forgetting about gaining weight. And after I had done that for a while, I was like, now I'm gonna make something that fits me. And then I just overreached a little bit. So when I tried this on, it was huge. And I hadn't knit that much. I was like here or something. So then I just had to rip it out and re-knit it in a smaller size, and also with smaller needles actually, because I mean I wanted the fabric to be rather dense. And I just don't like having to re-knit things. It is very, yeah. So there's not much has happened with this. And also when it was summer, this yarn is very woolly. So you don't want to bring it out when it's warm outside. And it's actually just started to get really cold. It's like, I think it was -3 today, and it hasn't been this cold in a long time. Autumn was pretty warm, actually. We've had like 12 degrees for a long time. Like October was warm. And the next project is like a love-hate, no, not love, more hate project. And this is a sweater that my mother found in one of the magazines she has. It doesn't have a name. It says like spring sweater, and it also doesn't have a designer. So I don't know who designed this thing. And she was like, I want to make these for the kids. Could you order me some yarn? The yarn that they used was Viking Alpaca Bris. I think this is a Norwegian yarn company, but I'm not sure. And this is a lovely blow yarn. I ordered the yarn, she paid for it. Then she decided that this was too difficult for her to knit. So she was like, could you knit it for them? And I was like, sure thing, not a problem. One of these sweaters is finished. I can put a picture. It was a slog. The body was okay. The sleeves were horrible. This is color work in the round, which is the only way I do color work, as I already mentioned. But the arms got pretty tight. They are a bit too... Initially, I made the first one for my oldest daughter because she wanted the rib in yellow, and my other daughter wanted the rib in turquoise. So, but then it didn't fit her. So I had to give it to her little sister. So now it's the second one. And I also had to rip out because I made a mistake, and yeah, all of these things. And now I'm knitting this thing for the second time, and I didn't like it the first time. So, I mean, it is super cute in these pastel colors, and it's, I mean, incredibly soft. It must be really nice to wear these once it's done. But this is, I mean, it's like this the whole time. And you get really tired of this in the end. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you the designer's name of this is Maja Karlsson. She actually made a book called Koftor, which means cardigans, and I think it's only available in Swedish, so it doesn't really help. But I think I should mention it anyway. It's here, yeah. So this is a really pretty book. It has, I think it's 20 cardigans, which is so great because I'm a person who always knits the sweaters, even though I really prefer to wear cardigans. So when I bought this, I had an idea that I would change this. So this is Auntie's cardigan that I'm knitting. And this is like a Norwegian inspired one. These are all like quite traditional. And she had a story in the book where her aunt was wearing a cardigan like this as a child. And she actually had a picture of the aunt in the cardigan. But this is an adult sized one. Because otherwise I couldn't wear it, of course. Yeah. Okay, next one is a summer pattern that I started in July, August, something like that. And these are the tan shorts by Helga Isager. And I actually made a pair for my oldest daughter, and I can put a picture. And then I was also going to make a pair for her sister, and these are the ones. And I have made one of the legs. I mean, this is all rumpled now. And these are made in Sandnes Tynn Lene, which is cotton linen. Maybe there's some viscose as well, not sure. But this is a really lovely yarn. It is so nice to knit with, and it's like super drapey and soft to wear. I have heard, because those shorts don't fit me. But yeah, so you knit the legs one at a time. And the thing is that when you're making decreases, but not the same ratio on front and back. And since I had already done this once and done it wrong and had to redo it, I was like, now I really know what I'm doing. So I didn't look at the pattern that closely, which I of course should have done, because this leg was almost done when I noticed that it didn't match the first leg, because the slope here was not the same. So when I was gonna sew them together, that would have looked really wonky. So I had to rip it out. Great. And since summer was over by then, I didn't reknit them. And also the first pair that was for my older daughter, there's only 2 years between them, but she's 13, so her body is like more rounded, and little sister is 11, consequently. So she's a bit more like a beanpole. And this is the smallest size. So I'm thinking that these are going to fit her next summer without a problem, since they are like a teensy bit big on big sister. So I'm gonna let these rest until I feel like doing summer knits again, which is probably gonna be sometime in April or May. Yeah. The next project I started in August, and August was pretty rainy, so even though it's a bit warm to bring out the wool, I still did. And this is the Kerr sweater by Rebecca Clow, or Kreabea. And I have done the whole body, and I really love this colorwork part. It's such a pretty pattern, and I had been eyeing this pattern for a while before I bought it, but then I was like, I mean, I spent so much money on patterns and yarns, and I mean, I wasn't gonna buy it just willy-nilly. But then she had a birthday sale, and I'm like, this is a sign. So I bought the pattern, and the yarn I already had. This is Klippans tvåtrådiga, and this is actually a place where they make like blankets, like woven blankets. And this yarn, it has 2 threads. It is a sport weight yarn, and this is like the leftovers from the blanket making. So they sell these really cheap, and you can only get it from there. But I mean, there are lots of yarns that are like this. So it's 300 meters, and it on a 100-gram hank, and it's pure wool, really nice and a little bit scratchy, but I don't mind that. Yes, so this is how far I've come, and I'm gonna start on the sleeves, and I don't think this is gonna take but I mean, now December is fast approaching, and I do have some Christmas gift knitting to do. So I mean, maybe no. Maybe I won't be done with it this year. But I mean, I tried it on, it fits perfectly. I was afraid that the armholes were a bit small, but I think they're going to be fine. And then another pattern that I also started knitting in August, because I have this thing where I knit socks in the summer because they're small projects. You don't have a lot of wool lying on your lap and just making you really warm. So I knit socks during summer, and then in October, when everyone else is knitting socks, I'm so sick of socks. I just don't want it. I only knit sweaters and cardigans, hats, mittens, things like that. So these are Boyland by Kaitlin Hunter. Oh, my voice is getting raspy. And these actually had a short row heel in the pattern, but I finished the first sock and it's just this, the short row heel is just too shallow for my foot, so it didn't fit very well. So this is the first sock. I just ripped it out, and on this I put a heel flap and gusset, and I'm gonna do the same on this one. So if that hadn't happened, I would probably have been finished with these. And this is from 52 Weeks of Socks, and I can show you what they're supposed to look like. There weren't a lot of colorwork socks in this book, but I mean, I knit the ones that I could find. These have been made with different sock yarns. There is, I think the beige is Drops Fable, and the purple is Sandnes sock yarn. Don't remember which one. And then this one is like a really old one that I don't even remember where I got or what it's called. I do have a lot of sock scraps because I have been knitting a lot of socks through the years. And then in September, I do have a knitting podcast in Swedish. So that's how I've been doing for about a year, I think. Year and a half, maybe. And I made, I think it was in September, I made a autumn plans video where I just presented a few patterns that I wanted to knit. And among these patterns was the Polo sweater by Kaitlin Barthold. And this is a free pattern on her blog. You can also buy it ad-free on Ravelry. But I really liked the neckline on this. This is a twisted rib here, and then there is going to be like a what's it called? Like the polo neck is gonna come here, like with these lapels, maybe. Yeah. So this is quite far along. It's just plain stockinette with this twisted rib hems, and here too. And you start from the top and knit your way down. And it's a raglan construction. This yarn looks brown, but I think it's kind of taupe. Sorry about my pronunciation. So it's like a grayish, or no, more of a brownish gray, because it's more gray than brown. But it's really nice, and this yarn is really lovely. It's called Stay by Merinor, and it has half alpaca and half merino wool. So it has this fuzzy alpaca feel to it. And I think it's going to be really warm. I mean, and this has just been going smoothly. I tried it on and it fits me, and the sleeve is the right length, and I mean, I don't know what's gonna happen because this has just been smooth sailing. And the only thing I'm worried about at this point is that I only have 3 balls left, and these are 50-gram balls, and this is a DK weight yarn. And I think, I mean, I have used more than 1 ball for this sleeve, like 1.5 or something like this. something like that. Maybe even more, maybe 2, I don't know. And then for the collar, I'm also going to need some yarn. But I was thinking that if I just knit the sleeve first, then I could get another ball for the collar if it's not enough. Because it's worse if it looks different, like in the middle of the sleeve, than if the collar has a slightly different tone to it. But I am still hoping that I will have enough yarn. Okay, we're getting close to the end now. Next one. Oh, this is like a dream project. This is the porcelain sweater by Lene, Holme, Samsø. A lot of Danish designers today, but I mean, they do have like great aesthetic. I could not help myself. I had to do this. I think this is actually also on my autumn plans. This is rolling so much, but I will try to hold it up. This is the back. So this is a knit from the top down in pieces until you reach under the armhole, and then you knit it in the round. So this means you have to do color work on the wrong side. And I was not happy about that. But what I did was, because the way I knit color work is I knit both English and continental. I mean, I don't normally, but when I do color work, so I hold the yarns in each hand, like one yarn in one hand, the other yarn in the other hand, and then I throw with my right hand and I pick with my left. So I am a continental knitter. I could not knit a whole garment English style. No way. It would take forever. And it would also look pretty wonky, I think. But this is the only technique I can use for color. I don't understand people who can just keep the different colors on one finger. Because, that took me forever. So when I figured this out, or I read it somewhere, saw it somewhere, don't know, then I was really happy, because that's when I could do color work, finally. So what I did when I faced this, I had to check how do you purl English style, because I didn't know how to do this. So I YouTubed it, and after I got that, it's a lot easier actually. So I don't hate this. And I think this is going to be really pretty in the end. I cheaped out and I bought Drops Fable. I mean, it seems like this is the only yarn I'm using. And also Drops Merinos. No, not Merino. Mohair silk or silk mohair. Well, it's this. You've seen these before. Instead of the Sandnes yarn that is used in the pattern. I mean, people say that these are scratchy. I don't think so. But also, I am not sensitive at all. What I did was I didn't read. Oh, now you saw my beautiful wine-colored tights. Okay. Was I didn't read the pattern properly. No surprise there. This is how I operate. And there was a chart, and usually when there's a chart repeat, there is some kind of box around the repeat, often in red. This was not the case with this pattern. It just had some kind of little bracket thingy underneath that this is the repeat, and I missed that. So I just knit the whole chart, which meant that, it didn't add up in the end at all. So I am still a little bit, I still have this. I haven't knit all the way back to where I was when I discovered the mistake. Don't really know how it could take that long, but yeah. So, and then I just went mad at this project. But I'm gonna pick it up again as soon as I have time. because, I mean, Christmas is drawing near, and I have decided that I need to knit some things. I had been promising the kids that I would knit them stockings. I think I've said that for a few years now. And this finally happened. I've started this one. And the heel is going to be here somewhere. You cut and then you make the heel. My face is dark now. And this was so fun. This is a free pattern called Silent Knits Christmas Stockings by Annah Burnes. And the stocking in the pattern looks nothing like this. But she provided charts for every part, like 4, 5, 6 that you could choose from for all of these. So you could just pick your own mix, which was so much fun. So the second one I'm going to knit is going to look completely different from this one. And this is almost finished. This yarn is pretty thick. It's a worsted weight, I would say. Maybe leaning on Aran, some of these, because they're all like leftover balls from other projects. So it's a mishmash of things. I think most of them are Drops Alaska. And then the red one is a different yarn company. I don't remember. I knit a Christmas sweater out of this yarn, so maybe I can find out what it is. I made the Julgran by Andy Satterland, and I can put a picture. This sweater does not fit me anymore. It's super, super tiny. But if I find it, maybe one of the kids could wear it. But yeah, this was a lot of fun. And I'm going to make one more. And then I have all the Christmas gifts as well. But actually, the most fun whip that I have going on is actually a test knit for Sari Nordlund, which is so amazing. I never thought that this would happen. And this is called the Haven Shawl. And it has to be finished by December 8th. So I'm mostly only knitting on this now. And it has grown quite big. And this is so lovely. Look at this pattern. It just looks so nice and quite intricate, but it's super easy to make, actually. And this yarn is called Clara by Permin. And this is also a wool cotton blend, just like this one. But this feels a lot less woolly and a lot more cottony when you touch it. I mean, this still has a fuzz to it, like a woolly fuzz. And this is just, it feels very cottony. I don't know if the ratio is different. I don't think so. But this is also thicker. This is a DK weight yarn. And the pattern said you could either make it in DK or holding a fingering and a mohair together. But this is a super fun knit, and I really like this color as well. Like it's a purplish gray that I think is going to look really good in winter. The only concern is that this might be a bit cool because it does have all the cotton. But I mean, it's so lovely. I think I'm going to knit more of these in different colors. Yeah. So on to the plans, which is the last part of this video. And this is usually a bit different. What I usually do is I have a lot of UFOs. They used to be like 40-ish something of them, but I've got them down to 20-ish now. So even though it sounds like a lot, they used to be double the amount. So I usually have a column for UFOs, and then I pick 1 or 2 of those that I assign to work on during the month. Then I have a whip section, like something I've been working on last month that I want to continue working on. And then I have the new cast-ons because, I mean, I can't not. And then I usually have a column for 2-3 things that I want to finish that month. It doesn't always happen, but it's like my intention to finish it during the month. And I don't have that this month, because whatever gets finished, because I need to focus on the Christmas gifts. And it is this one that I promised my mother to finish for Christmas, and I really don't want to, but I guess I have to work on it. And then I also have plans to make like my improvised Sophie scarf for my other daughter. And I am going to hold a mohair with a fingering weight yarn for that. And I do have the yarn already. And that should be fairly quick. I'm also going to make a third pair of fingerless mitts for my father, just because he's so knit-worthy. And I was thinking to make a matching hat as well. And I haven't decided what yarn to use, but I do have a lot of yarn. So, and I don't need a big amount to make those things. So I'll just check my stash for that. And for the fingerless mitts, I will either just do it from the top of my head, or I will use the arched gusset mitten pattern, because they get such nice... I mean, if you haven't seen it, I can put a picture up. Yeah, now I've been talking for a long time, so I'm just losing my thoughts right now. But I'm nearly finished. So I was thinking to also make my aunt a pair of fingerless mitts. And I'm gonna find the softest yarn that I have in my stash, because years ago I knit her a shawl and she's like, it's itchy. Ooh. So that's no fun. And then my brother's girlfriend, I mean, they do live together, so I don't know if girlfriend is appropriate. And they're also in their 40s, so... But she asked if I could make her some chunky socks, because she's a scout leader. So she is spend a lot of time outdoors in the cold. And I already made her one pair, but I think I'm gonna make her a second pair. And I think I'm going to use, for the first pair I used Emily Foden's pattern Snowshoe Socks from her really pretty book Knits About Winter. So I think I'm going to do that again, because they are really amazing. You hold 2 fingering weight yarns together, and you can use up your scraps, which is what I did for the first pair. And then I'm going to make another stocking. This is not a Christmas present. She has to have this for before Christmas, for big sister as well. This is for little sister. So I have to make that stocking as well. And if I do finish these, then I would really like to finish the polo sweater, and I would also really like to finish the car sweater. And I mean, for years I've been talking about knitting myself a Christmas sweater, but I don't think it's gonna happen this year. Oh, I mean, if you've been with me thus far, thank you so much. And I really hope you would like to watch again. And I wish you all a really nice evening or day or whatever time it is when you're watching this. And I really hope to see you again for the next one. Bye bye.